Who all went to the back to school retreat? Did you guys like it? Because I loved it. Even when I got a piece of tire in my eye, but that's, yeah. Yeah. I went to the hospital. It was fun. Yeah. That's what I meant. You know what I'm talking about. Branson? Yeah, that's totally what I meant. All right. Okay, so here's the deal with these papers. I want you guys just to set them next to you because we're not going to use them right now. Just kind of chill out on those. Don't destroy your pens because you're going to need them. So those are for later. So, yeah. So hold on just a second. Okay. I had to take a selfie first. I took 2 selfies actually. Okay. So how many of you guys take selfies? Raise your hand. Take selfies. Be honest. Who takes selfies? All right. Okay. If you take those selfies, who posts them online? Yeah. Okay. So you got that thing where you're in your bathroom and you just did your hair, and you got your sweet button-down shirt that you got on sale from Goodwill, and then you walk up and you're just like with your Ray-Bans or wannabe Ray-Bans. I have those, so don't shame. And you just take your selfie because you want all the girls or all the guys to like your page, because that's what defines us in life. How many girls like our Instagram photo? Because that's what defines my life. Just kidding. It used to. And so, how many of you guys like doing what's cool? And it's okay to be honest. I like doing what's cool. Yeah. And see, the problem with that is that not everything is good that is cool. You have a lot of, especially in high school, I don't know so much about middle school dances, but you got this thing called like twerking. That's popular, but I mean, let's be honest, that's not very cool. That's not good, but it's a cool thing. And you see, this is something that we struggle with, especially as middle schoolers, as high schoolers, as college students, as adults. All throughout our life, we struggle with this idea of, well, that's cool, so I've got to do it because I've got to fit in. Because people are only going to like me if I fit in, if I do what's cool. People are only going to like me if I do that. And we have a word that we use to call this action. Does anyone know what this word is? Doing what is cool to fit in. Does anyone know what word I'm talking about? Peer pressure, that's one. But the specific word, which we're going to find in the Bible, is conformity. Conforming. So conforming is when we say, okay, well, this is cool. Selfies, twerking, Justin Bieber, Miley Cyrus, whatever. And we're like, I'm going to do that because everybody's doing that. So that's conforming. And that's what we're going to deal with today, is breaking away from that stereotype as Christians and living the life that we're meant to live. And so if you have your Bibles, some of you do, I can see, our main verse for tonight is going to be Romans 12:2, which some of you might know this verse. It's awesome. And we're going to have stuff up on the slide here as we go along. But Romans 12:2 says this. It says, "Do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." The renewing of your mind. That's going to be an important concept tonight. And it says, "And then you'll be able to test and approve God's will, His good, pleasing, and perfect will." And so, being a Christian is more than just accepting, praying the prayer and saying, all right, God, you died for me. That's cool. So, I accept you, and, I'm going to keep doing whatever I want. And see, that's not how we do it. That's not what it's meant to be. You see, when we do that, we're still conforming to the world. And you see, when we become Christians, we have to begin this process of transformation. Does everyone know what transformation is? You know that word? Okay, well, there's going to be some pictures on some ideas of transformation. So what does it mean? Yeah. So this is the first picture. We see, this butterfly. He's in a cocoon. He started out as a caterpillar. And over time, he becomes this beautiful, colorful creature. All right, and so picture us. We're on the left, and we're sinners. We haven't accepted God. We're out doing whatever we want, taking selfies of whatever we want. Selfies aren't a sin, but you get what I'm saying. You're drinking, you're smoking, we love sin, and we keep doing it. And then we accept Christ, and then we are on this pattern of transformation. And what Christ does in us is that He makes us this beautiful creature. And that's what we have to do. That's the natural process of Christianity. But it requires us acting Let's go to the next picture. And so for you car guys, I mean, I'm a car guy, I love cars. You see this old, beat up, rusty truck. And then somebody devotes time and care and money to it, and it's this awesome looking vehicle that I would definitely want in my garage. And then you can go to the next slide, which should be nothing. Yeah, perfect. So this idea of transformation is going from one point and then working, and then we end up with this awesome product. And you see, that's what God does in our lives when we become Christians. We come to Him and we're broken and we're sinful, and it's, God, I can't stop looking at the computer like that, and Lord, I need help because I can't stop cussing, and I can't, I'm having like a girlfriend every day, and I'm not treating them right, and I'm lying, and I'm doing all this and this. And we come to God in that way, and He says, you know what? I sent my Son to die for you. And He's like, and because of that, I'm going to help you transform. But it requires one thing. It requires us to act. If we accept God's grace and we don't say, all right, God, I'm ready. How do I transform? We're never going to get anywhere. We're going to stay hanging on that tree as a cocoon and never do anything. Be caught in that. And we see in 2 Corinthians 5:17, it says this, it says, therefore, if anyone is in Christ, the new creation has come, the old has gone, and the new is here. So you see, when we become Christians, we are a new creation. And just this concept. And so the question is, being a new creation, how do we continue on that transformation process? How is it once you accept Christ and you're a Christian? How do you keep going? How do you grow and get better and grow closer to God? And the answer is that we have to change our worldview to a God view. We have to change our worldview to a God view. And you see, like I said, the worldview is that sinner state where you just want to sin and you like sin, and the only thing you don't like about sin is when you get caught. And then you go to this God view where you still sin, but you're like, you know what? I feel bad about that. I know I shouldn't do that. God, how can I do better? And so we need to switch from that view. And that is where we find ourselves in Romans 12:2, in renewing of our mind. And so how do we renew our mind? The first thing we have to do is we have to change the way we think. Which sounds obvious when you say, oh, my mind, I think stuff. But this is the first and foremost thing, because your mind, what you think, is the key to what you act upon. What you think about something, the perspective you hold, it is the key. If you don't think in your mind, well, you know what, that has no value, you're never going to do it. You might do it, but you're only going to do it half-hearted, and you're not going to do it well. So the mind is our key to our actions. And so think about what you think about every day. It's crazy. Sometimes I just sit there and I think about the weirdest things. Like I go from thinking about, well, I need to do my homework, to cars, to fishing, to, just random stuff. And, we go through so many thoughts. And sometimes we let bad thoughts, we let selfish thoughts, we let good thoughts just run through our mind without even realizing it. And so we need to change the way we think when we become as a Christian. And so Paul is the guy who wrote Romans, and what he's talking about when he says this is, we have to ask the question is, how do we transform the way we think? Because it's easy to say, but it's like, how in the world do you do that? You don't just like plug yourself into something and it kind of swishes stuff around and bam, there you go. And in 2 Corinthians 10:5, it talks about taking thoughts captive. And so this is how we begin to change our thoughts. We take them captive. And so what that means is that we need to be more aware of what we're thinking about. And we need to be more aware when we're thinking about something we shouldn't. Maybe it's somebody walks by you and you think, man, they're hot. And, that goes somewhere it shouldn't. Or maybe you're thinking about, man, I hate that person. Or I hate my parents. I don't want to go home. I'm done with them. Or maybe it's I hate my brother. Or maybe, whatever it may be, these thoughts that we know we shouldn't be thinking, but we can't control. We have to take them captive. And so here's how that looks. So you're sitting in your classroom or your bedroom or wherever, and you're thinking these things, and you have to stop and you say, okay, wait a second. I'm a Christian. Does this thought line up with my beliefs, with Jesus? And if you say no, then you just stop and you pray and you say, God, this thought is not right. It's a sin for me to be thinking this. I don't want to be thinking this. I need you to help me take this thought away from me. And you see, at first it's going to be really hard, it's going to be really awkward, and you're going to forget to do it. I forget to do it all the time. But what happens is you start working up this habit of anytime you think about something bad, you're like, wait a second, should I be thinking about this? And so that's the idea of taking a thought captive, is being aware of what you're thinking about. Another thing we can do to change the way we think is to read the Bible. And I know that sounds cliche because everybody tells you the first thing, oh, what are you doing? You're a Christian. Well, you read the Bible. It's just a book and I have to read it and it's kind of cool. There's a really boring part in it somewhere. There's a funny story here. It's just, I just got to read it. It's part of being a Christian. But it's so much more than just a part of being a Christian. You see, the Bible is living and it's active and it's God's word. And when we read it with the mindset of, okay, I want to change something about myself today, or I want to see what God is telling me today. And you could read the same chapter every day for an entire year and get something out of it different every time you read it. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. If you come in it with the mindset of, you know what do you have for me, God? How can I apply this to my life? How can I change? It will start to reveal things to you. It will bring you comfort and joy and peace. But you've got to change the way you think about it. It can't just be a book. It can't just be something you have to do. It's got to be something you want to do. And then one last thing for changing the way we think is perspective. How you look at things will make all the difference. If you look at something with a negative aspect, it's always going to be negative, even if it's something positive. It's like, oh man, I don't want to take this test, or I don't want to try out for the play because I'm scared, but I like theater. And then you try out for theater and you get it, and you're like, you get the, a good part, maybe not the part you wanted, and you're just like, oh, I didn't get the part I wanted, so it doesn't matter. But you miss the fact that you got the part, regardless. And so, perspective. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to take your finger, like this. Take your finger. So if you know Steve Reif, who's an awesome high school leader, had a huge impact on my life, he showed us this one day in high school group, and it's never left me. So take your finger and put it below your face like this and look down at it. All right, I want you to start taking your hand like this and spinning it to the left. You see? Just spin your whole hand to the left. And then I want you to slowly raise your hand above your head, keep spinning it, and look at it. What direction is it spinning? Look at it closer. What direction? Right. Down here it's spinning left. Up here it's spinning right. So you see, your perspective changes. When you change your perspective, things look differently. And this had such a profound impact on my life because it's like, wow, how I look at things, how you look at the Bible, how you look at God, how you look at being a Christian, if you look at it in a poor way, you're only going to get poor results. You're not going to get anything good out of it. And you're going to leave this building every Wednesday and be like, why do I even do this? You got to have the right perspective. Thinking different opens the door to acting differently. And that leads us to the second way. We have to change the way that we act. And this is more towards our outward expression, what other people see about us. And so think about some actions you see at school that you shouldn't conform to. So we're back to that big word, conform. I remember being in high school and I just saw some crazy things. Like I saw drug deals at school dances. It was essentially just walking into a giant pit of sin. Like it was awful. And even in college, I go to a Christian college and I walk home. I come home one day and I walk into my apartment and there's 4 guys sitting on the couch with a 40 ounce of whiskey in their hand and they're seeing who can drink it the fastest. All of them underage, except for one who bought it for all of them. And I'm sitting here thinking like, we're at a Christian school, you're studying ministry, like, wow. And I had so many, I got offered that at a Christian school. And I had to make a conscious decision not to take part in that, even though it was around me every day. And so you're going to see these actions everywhere you go. No matter what environment, you're going to see it in the church, in school, anywhere. You're going to see these actions that you don't need to conform to. And you see, the world embraces a lot of these actions. It embraces things like, we see homosexuality just embraced and praised. We see, drinking underage and smoking marijuana legalized and just embracing all these things. And we must act differently as Christians. We must stand out in how other people see us because we are a new creation and God has made us new and God lives within us and we have to let him pour out of us. And if we don't act any differently, people are never going to know. You see, our actions will preach the gospel more than our mouth will. Somebody who can't speak can preach the gospel as good as I can, maybe even better. And another way that we can change the way we act is changing who you hang out with. And this is a big one that I dealt with in middle school. I was in 8th grade, and I had a friend named Chase, and I go over to his house every single day, And I was a super nerd. I was playing, Call of Duty and Xbox. I had like 6 game consoles. Like, that's all I did. I spent one summer almost 16 hours every day throughout the entire summer playing video games. Seriously. My mom grounded me for like 5 months after that. But anyways, I go over to Chase's house, and I see beer cans all over the place. And I'm like, what is that, Chase? And he's like, oh, that's my stepdad's, which was half true. The other half was that his stepdad was giving him these beer cans. And one day, I kept going to Chase, and I was trying to witness to him, but it came a point where he was trying to get me to partake in a lot of very bad things. And eventually I just had to say, you know what, Chase? I can't be a part of this. I was like, and I brought him to church and I witnessed to him, and nothing, he just wanted to do whatever he wanted. And I finally told him, like, man, I can't hang out with you anymore. I can't come to your house because I don't support these things and I don't want to fall to these things. And sometimes as Christians, we have to make these hard decisions. If somebody is influencing you poorly, you have to say, you know what? I got to put some distance, because they will influence you whether you want them to or not. 1 Corinthians 15:33 says, do not be deceived, for bad company corrupts good character. And this is so true. You can be up here, on the top highest building as a Christian, and have somebody down here bring you down. It may take a week, it may take a month, it may take 3 years. It may be from your 8th grade year to your senior year in high school. But if you continually let yourself be influenced by somebody who is not a good influence, it is going to take its effect. And I had this in a very convicting way. I used to hang out with a lot of, interesting kids. And, I got into the whole thing where it was cool to cuss when I was a freshman. I was all about that. It's cool, so I'm going to do it. I fit in. And I was sitting one day in Spanish class, and this guy, Matthew, he looks to me after he heard me say something, and he's like, hey, Steven, aren't you a Christian? And I was like, yeah. He's like, well, you shouldn't be talking like that. And I was just speechless, because I was like, here's somebody who doesn't even believe in God convicting me, like calling me out. And I just, from that point, like, that has never left me. And that was all because I was letting a friend group of mine influence me because I thought it was cool. And I had somebody who wasn't even a Christian say, hey man, shouldn't you be acting differently? We have to change the way that we act. And lastly, we have to change the way that we live. And this goes much deeper than your outward expression. This is your heart. This is what's on the inside. When we change how we live, it's how we do life every day when no one's watching, just what we do. And we have to change our hearts if we're going to fully let God transform us into this new amazing creation, this beautiful butterfly or this, wicked truck or whatever. We have to change our hearts. And so this can be seen in a multitude of ways. This can be, if you're just praying to yourself in your car, guys don't have cars, but if you're riding your bike and that's your time to just pray to God, that's a change. No one has to see it. No one has to know about it. That's between you and God. That's a change in the way you live. Or maybe you're at Walmart and you always want to make sure you help at least one person in Walmart. So maybe you see an old lady who needs help with her bags. So you run up, help her with her bags, and that's the end of it. You don't tell anybody. You don't post it on Facebook. It's just what you do because you enjoy it. It's stuff like that. What are we doing for others, and what are we doing when no one's watching us without gratification? And you see, the thing about this is we can change the way we act and still not change the way we live. So we have to do both of those things, because you can act one way and totally have a heart that says another thing. And we call those hypocrites. And I'm sure you guys have experienced some of this. Like I've been a hypocrite before. We all have. But it's really annoying when you have somebody who says, yeah, man, I'm all for you and I'm all about that and I'm going to do this, and then you find out that they were completely lying to you, that, they're not even the person that you thought they were. And I've had that happen to me before, especially in my middle school and high school years where you guys are at. And it's tough. It's rough to deal with. So make sure that you are not only changing the way you act, but the way you live, so that you can, be that person, so that you can reflect Jesus. And this all comes down to just basic ways of spending time with God, whether it's praying with Him or reading your Bible, or maybe it's coming to youth group and bringing friends to youth group and talking to a leader while you're here. Maybe it's a small group. It can be a multitude of ways, but just make conscious decisions to change the way you live. And so, like I said earlier, as Christians, all of us now, you, me, we're all in this process of transformation. We're all somewhere on this process. Maybe you just became a Christian and you're at the beginning. Maybe you're not yet a Christian and you're like, I don't know about this. What is this going on? And you're like at the starting line and you're just waiting for the gun to go off so you can start. And you maybe tonight's the night that you pull the trigger and you say, you know what? I'm going to go for it. I'm ready. I want to be a new creation. I want to be free from the sin, from the guilt, from the shame, from the hate, from the pain. I want to be free from all of it. And maybe you're really far down the line. You're like, I've been reading my Bible. I've been praying. I still struggle with things, but I know that God has my back and that others do too. You see, we're all on this road somewhere. And we're all on this fight from being a slave to sin to being free in Christ. It says in the Bible, it says where the Spirit of the Lord is, there's freedom. And when you become a Christian, the Holy Spirit, God is with you. And so you are free. And it's such an amazing concept. And so I want you guys to just take this home with you, is we have to change the way we think, the way we act, and the way we live. The way we think, the way we act, and the way we live. And something interesting about those three things is that they all have something in common. It's that you have to change. It's not that I accept Christ and I sit down and I'm just like, all right, God, do what you want. I'm just going to sit here and watch Netflix. Or, God, I'm going to keep going this way. And I know you want me to go that way, but just don't let me go this way as far. We can't have that mindset. We have to, if we're looking down this road and it's a dark road and we're going this way and we see Jesus and we turn this way, we have to walk with God that way. We can't just, wait for something to happen. We have to act on it. You see, it says in the Bible as well in James that faith without works is dead. And it's not that you have to be a good person to be saved or do good things. It's that when you are saved, what you do reflects that. Your actions reflect that. And so you're a big part of this. Yes, God has saved you, and nothing you can do apart from Jesus saves you and gets you into heaven and all that. But once you have done that, now it's your turn. God has your back. He's always there. He's in control. But you have to walk with him. And he will carry you, but you have to walk with him. And so that's just what I want you guys to take away from tonight, is that we are transformed. We're in this process, and we have to renew our mind. And it takes us. It takes us to change the way we think, to change the way we act, and to change the way we live. And if you're struggling with that tonight and you're like, I don't know how to do that, or I want more help, you can go to any of the leaders and they would love to help you in any way that they can. And God can help you with that. God's not just expecting you to do that on your own. And when you find anything that's painful, or, someone dies in your family, or you're just not doing well, he's not just going to leave you by the wayside. And so you have the biggest resource in the entire world, the creator of the world, at your side and on your team. And so keep renewing your mind and keep coming to youth group and bringing friends and investing yourself in God so that you can become that beautiful creation. You can transform into that cocoon that's still locked up and is really dark to that beautiful butterfly. And so now what I want you guys to do is I want you to take that green piece of paper. Okay? And this is kind of similar, but what this is going to do is this summer, I'm going to do a series about, middle school, that age, your guys' age, and just different really hard topics. We're going to deal with a lot of hard topics that, maybe you guys haven't had answered or been talked to about, or you're wondering and you're like, man, I wish somebody would just talk about this because I need to know. We're going to talk about stuff like that. And so what I want you to do is I'm going to talk about some of the specific things that you guys give me, because I want to make sure that what we're preaching about this summer affects you guys directly. Like, I don't want to be speaking about a group that's, across town to you guys. I want to speak about you so that it is beneficial to you. So on your paper, I want you to answer. Marianne, could you go to the next slide? Next slide after that. Okay, I want you to answer these two questions. Do not put your name on it. So, because you're going to give these to the leaders, and, you can if you want, but, make it anonymous. That way, I want you guys to be super honest with yourselves. So, what do I see when I look in the mirror? I want you guys to answer that honestly. Truly think about what when I look at myself in the mirror, what do I see? And then after you're done with that, answer, What do others see when they look at me? And don't put your name. No one's going to know what you write. I just want you to write honestly. I'm going to do the same thing. Just write honestly. So take about 5 minutes and do that.